Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another figure news video in the world of Dragon Ball figures. Of course, we are going to be taking a look at the last 2 weeks of everything that has dropped since our last big figure news video. We did have actually, besides this one obviously, which was that 2-week recap from 2 weeks ago, which actually went up on a Tuesday because your boy did not have time to record. I actually don't remember what happened, but regardless, we had a bunch of stuff happen this week that actually did make individual videos on it. We will be covering that stuff in basically just an overview, right? But if you would like specific details on all of these figures, and I'll mention that when I get to them in this video, you can definitely go check out those videos. Very exciting, though, everything that we got this week. And of course, as per usual, we are going to start off on dbzfigures.com. From the Dragon Ball Weekly news from the 12th, which was funny enough just a day after I did the last video, or a day before, but I don't remember seeing it in the video. So I'm just going to include it in here because it's literally just the fact that Clear Rise Trunks basically has been released in Japan, which is pretty cool. Obviously, we did see some pictures of him last time in that last video. And now we can move on. Yeah, that was basically it. I know, crazy from that page. But besides that, obviously, like you saw in that video, we did get the SDCC exclusives for 2023 with these figures right here, the SH Figuarts Super Saiyan Goku and Super Saiyan 2 Son Gohan. Obviously, this is really cool because, of course, Gohan has kind of needed a re-release for a really long time. The old Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is pretty hard to come by nowadays, so it's cool that they're giving him a re-release in this way. And, of course, the Ghost Goku behind him is a awesome touch. Definitely a really cool way to make this an exclusive figure, I feel like. And I'm very curious to see if they're actually going to do some shenanigans with this figure, because I did see somebody mention this in either on Twitter or my specific video talking about the SDCC exclusives. Essentially, right? This is kind of what they did with Goku, right? The Super Saiyan Goku that we've been talking about for a couple of videos now. They released that exclusive one at the basically pop-up shop that's going around right now, right? The Tamashii Nations pop-up shop. And then, right after they released that Super Saiyan Goku, right? That exclusive, right? He has the ripped shirt from Planet Namek. They released the Super Saiyan Goku, right? Let me actually find you a picture of it. They released the Super Saiyan Goku with no shirt, right? This one. We've been talking about him for a couple weeks. So it may seem that if they are going to keep with that same trend, right, of remaking an old figure, giving it an exclusive, and then giving us a proper release of it, Gohan might actually have a release of his own coming up that is not going to be an event exclusive. And I know some people in the comments were actually kind of disappointed about this guy being an exclusive because he has been so highly anticipated to get a re-release for a really long time. So it would kind of make sense if they are going to do that. And I know a lot of people in the comments were also saying they aren't really a fan of the clear hair gimmick, which is something that's going to be present on another one of these figures as well. So then it would also kind of make sense, of course, if they also just made a normal version of this figure. So then that way, obviously, it doesn't have the clear hair. But we'll have to see what happens with that. As well, we will talk about in a second where you may actually be able to pre-order these. But regardless, Raditz and Gohan, this one actually comes with the little Gohan accessory, which is pretty cool. I know a lot of people were also kind of upset about this one because they quite literally just made a SH Figuarts Raditz because, you know, he like literally never had one before, I think, unless it was a really old one. Actually, that might be the case. But regardless, recently Raditz got a release with the darker armor color scheme, and they're already giving him a release, which I know some people are like, well, what was the point of even doing the one before, or what's the point of this exclusive, you know, if the whole thing is, you know, obviously bringing back figures or characters that need a figure, and then obviously just doing this guy, you know, not that far after he already got a version of this guy. In fact, isn't it the case that it was a premium Bandai, right? Premium Bandai exclusive, I believe. Hello, we're going to talk about you, Yamcha. Don't you worry, Rad. I don't know how to spell Raditz, apparently. Yeah, this guy right here, right? This, the SH Figuarts Raditz, that was from 2020, right? This guy just came out only 3 years ago in the world of figures, and so I know a lot of people were kind of like, why are we remaking this guy? He just came out 2 years ago, and there's plenty of other figures that need it. Or, why, you know, waste the exclusive slot on him? Regardless, we also have Majin Vegeta, which this one I think is definitely a contender for the, like, getting a proper re-release, honestly, after this one, because this figure is always been one of SH Figuarts' most popular figures in terms of just the original Majin Vegeta, and it is quite hard to come by nowadays. It is a extremely rare figure, so I would not be surprised if he gets a proper re-release too. But this guy is pretty cool, and he also does come with the actual background piece that you see there with the electricity and the aura, which I think is a awesome touch. And of course, definitely go watch that main video for more of my thoughts on this guy, because everything I'm saying here I kind of didn't get to say in that video, but and a little bit of what I said in that video, because obviously it's a recap. But this guy was a terrible figure on release. His sculpt was absolutely awful. He literally looked like a bootleg. Again, go check out that main video for more info. But I'm really hoping that the actual release of this guy, the exclusive edition, isn't terrible. Is the bottom line. I hope that he's not just, you know, absolutely disgusting, because not only will that look bad for Tamashii, but that'll just be, you know, re-releasing the same terrible, terrible figure. Now, in terms of these, right, because these are event exclusives, you would think that probably you won't be able to get them, but a lot of the time what they do when it comes to these figures is they will actually release them on Premium Bandai. So, like, if we look up event, I think we can actually just find it like that, right? Basically, right, the event exclusive color edition of a bunch of these figures, right, that they give away. Not give away, you have to purchase it, but you have to purchase it at a convention, right? A lot of the times they will put it up, excuse me, on Premium Bandai a couple of days after the event, or a day after the event, or whatnot. So I will keep you guys posted if that is the case, but these exclusives, if you are interested in any of them, might actually end up going on Premium Bandai. I know for me, I might get Majin Vegeta, because I think that the hair gimmick actually works really well for Majin Vegeta, and also with the background piece as well. I do really want that Ghost Goku. I think that that is pretty cool. So definitely keep an eye out for that, 100%. And obviously, to go with the boy Gogeta, we had the announcement of the Figuarts Zero Janemba, which, if you're unaware, this was a huge deal because this guy was shown many, many years ago at one event, and then they never showed him again. They showed the prototype, and then they were like, all right, he doesn't exist. And we all just kind of had assumed that he had been shelved, right? The project was just no more, essentially. But it turns out our boy is coming back in full stead. Again, check out his individual video for more info on him. But nonetheless, very, very cool. I am so excited for this guy. You know, not just because of the history of this figure, but like, look at him, bro. He's sick. But anyhow, yeah, very excited for this too. As you can see, right, he is available on Big Bad Toy Store, and he is available for about 114 bucks. I will say this is pretty cool just because of the fact that this guy is not a Premium Bandai exclusive. I was like praying that they were not going to make this guy Premium Bandai, because that was something that they easily could have done, and then you would have had to get him from that website only. But normal figure retailers will have this guy for sale, so you can actually just go pick him up wherever you buy figures. So that is pretty cool. Again, definitely go check out the individual Janemba video for that one. But very, very cool figure. I'm definitely very excited. As you can see, Big Bad Toy Store has him for a February 2024 release date. So we won't be seeing this guy for a little while, but still very exciting stuff. Besides that, we did have the Dragon Ball news for the week of the 19th. In terms of figure stuff, Tamashii Nations is still going on in Tokyo, the Tamashii Nations event, right? So they did have some stuff from the World Tour, right? Basically nothing that we didn't know, but it is just more pictures and images from the event, essentially. Obviously, we had the release of the GX Materia Goku as well, which was pretty cool. Yeah, you can see that they're at the booth talking about the different Tamashii Nations items, right? This was the exclusive Goku that I was talking about with the ripped shirt where you can only get him at the World Tour, right? So you literally can't get him online. I'm kind of surprised they actually didn't do a premium Bandai release of him, but I'm assuming the reason why is because, again, you know, they did the general release of that Super Saiyan Goku. Yeah, there is the Clear Eyes Trunks. Obviously, we saw him last time, and of course, we saw Edgeworks Gohan as well being released. So yeah, pretty cool stuff there. This was something that I did not expect to see, and we will see this again from Baggy's Twitter, but apparently they are re-releasing the Gigantic Series Baby Gohan and Goku with a special color version, which is kind of interesting. Bandai and X Plus announced a special color version of Goku holding Baby Gohan that was released about 2 to 3 years ago. You guys might... Wait, that was that long ago? Holy cow. Well, you guys might remember me covering this on the channel because I know I talked about him in a figure news video. The coloring is a little bit different and looks like a shade or two lighter compared to the previous version. Gigantic Series has always been one of my favorite figure lines due to the size. Has a nice look and will definitely be on the pre-order list. Yeah, this was a figure that on the original release, I actually really wanted this, but I don't remember what happened. I just ended up not getting him. I don't know if it was because I couldn't find a pre-order or if I just missed it or something like that. But this is definitely one that I wanted from the beginning. And this is a pretty cool figure, I gotta say. Unfortunately, these images are really small, but I will say this does give you an idea of how big it is when it says X+, right? Obviously, look at how big it is in this guy's hands. But yeah, this is the colors, right? You can see that this is the original, right, from the original release. I think that this is probably more like an anime color scheme, and I guess maybe this is more like the manga color scheme. What's funny is that I actually really like the Goku. I prefer this shade of orange for Goku. I don't know. I think it's just less, like, in your face. And obviously, it is a little bit more accurate to the manga, even though this is probably the one that more people are familiar with because, of course, you know, it's basically ripped right from the anime. But I definitely like these colors more for Gohan, so the fact that they made him, like, orange almost is kind of weird. I gotta be honest. I don't know if it's like that in the manga. I swear it's not, but very, very interesting nonetheless. And I believe at the moment there isn't any pre-orders for this guy, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. By the way, we will get better images of this later in the video. I don't know why the images for this are so small on dbzfigures.com here. But anyway, yeah, so we talked a little bit about this in the last video. We have... I don't know why I went to that page, sorry, the Yamcha SH Figuarts, right? This guy is a figure that we have actually been keeping an eye out for a while because this guy was shown off as well at like an event a really long time ago, and they just kind of didn't say anything about him, and it seems like they are finally releasing him to be kind of in theme with the Dr. Gero figures that they are currently releasing right now. 65 bucks though for this guy is kind of a high ask considering, right, if we go here, he is quite literally just a normal SH Figuarts figure, right? There isn't really like any crazy effects that you get with him or anything like that. Like he has alternate hand pieces and alternate face pieces, but this is basically the gimmick with him. He has the funny the funny Dr. Gero hand going through his chest, which I can't believe they actually included as an accessory. But yes, this guy finally releasing. I think they did a great job on the faces. This face especially looks fantastic for the fear that he has with Dr. Gero. And then obviously the funny arm going through his back. I don't know. I definitely don't think that this figure is worth 65 bucks, right? I don't think that it's a bad figure by any means, but it's just kind of unfortunate that they are charging 65 bucks for this guy, especially when he is pretty highly anticipated. I know maybe like most people who just casually collect figures probably won't be picking up this guy, but I know a lot of people in the SH Figuarts community have been waiting for this specific version of Yamcha for like Cell Saga scene recreations and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a shame that he is 65 bucks because, again, keep in mind with Premium Bandai, it's never as it seems, right? Shipping is always $10 on this website no matter what. So this guy's going to be more like 75 rather than 65. But yeah, that is Yamcha. Pre-orders already open, and we actually don't know when it's going to close. I assume it won't be for a little while because usually these figures do take a little bit to actually, you know, obviously close the pre-order, especially since they want to get as much money as possible. Anyhow, Besides that, that is actually everything on the DBZ figures side. Thank you guys, as always, for holding it down with the news. We really, really appreciate it over here. And let's move on to Baggy's Twitter. So this will be pretty exciting. We do have the release weeks for the Banpresto Japanese figures in October, and it looks like that Vegeta and Gohan are actually going to be week 1. So that will be pretty exciting to see. That means that the first week of October, we should be getting to see what these guys look like in person. Again, I'm very, very excited for these guys. I will definitely be copping them 100%. Frieza will be in week 2, and then that is it for Dragon Ball. I do believe before the next jump cut, yes, we do have this, which, if you guys remember, we talked about this in a previous video, right? Apparently, the September History Box Gohan is 12 centimeters excluding the base, and likely not the hair tips either, as these heights usually never measure, the hair for some reason. And yes, this is one of the official production images, and as you can see, for some reason they measure it like this, which makes like no sense. I don't understand it, bro, because then this is like the information that they put on the website when you're buying the figure. So then when you're buying it, you're thinking, oh, he's 12 centimeters, you know, like clearly, right, this figure is, you know, only going to be that big, but they're not even including the base or the hair. So I don't know. Just kind of a weird decision, in my opinion. I always feel like it's really weird the way that they measure these figures. But yeah, so Gohan will definitely be a little bit more than that. Judging by this image, I'm guessing he's probably going to be more like 16 or 18 centimeters. Maybe even 19 or 20 to like the top of the energy effect, I would think. Again, I'm just kind of like trying to eyeball it by literally just looking at the screen and then, you know, kind of measuring it with the height that we have on screen there. So it'll be interesting to see how much he actually is in terms of the height. I also do hope, before we move on from this guy, I do hope as well, like, I don't know if there's even any practical, like, use for being able to do this, but I would hope that you could take him off of the stand and then have him stand up without the stand, just for a little bit more versatility. Obviously, the whole point is that he's on the rocks and the background little effect looks really cool. But I would hope that, you know, he's going to have holes in his feet and there'll be pegs on the base, because a lot of the time recently, Bandai's been putting pegs on the feet, which is terrible, because then you can't actually just put the figure, you know, on a table or something like that if you really wanted to. But obviously the red electricity effects will be attached to him, so that will be interesting to see what becomes of that. But yeah, hopefully that will be the case for this guy. By the way, if you were curious, Janemba is 11,000 yen in Japan, so I guess that price actually pretty much makes sense, because we saw before on dbzfigures.com when we looked at him on the Big Bad Toy Store, right? He was about $114. So I suppose that makes sense, though I don't think that conversion rate is exactly the case, because I know that the yen and USD conversion rate is definitely not as like cut and dry as it was kind of before. So I don't think it's too terrible of a price. However, I did see Baggy saying something later on about the price being a little weird, so we'll take a look at that in a second. However, this was definitely an image that I wanted to show in this video. The original prototype versus the final version. Very, very interesting, right? I believe that the sculpt has not changed. From looking at this guy side by side, I really can't see a difference. Obviously, the little bit of the different does come from the angle, right? Because obviously the picture of the original, right, is taken at a slightly different angle than the, you know, images of the final version here that we are getting. But there are two major things to note, right? I think for one, obviously, like Baggy says, the colors are definitely something to be noted, though I will say that could definitely just be the lighting, because I do agree with Baggy, right? When it comes to Janemba and Janemba art and Janemba figures, the like two that we have, I definitely prefer the colors of the left one, right? Rather than the sort of muddled down like one on the version of the figure that we are going to be getting. But Keep in mind, I always say this in every video, when it comes to these production images, you can never trust the colors because there's so many things at play here. There's the lighting, there's the person editing the image, right? So many different factors at play. And obviously you can tell that it's also taken in a lot more bright environment for the original, right? That was shown off many, many years ago. So we'll have to see how the figure looks on the final version. I will say it does look like that there's actually more shading on the version that we are going to be getting. It is kind of crazy to say that because obviously Bandai has basically been taking away the shading from figures for a little while now. With every single time, it seems like they decide to just do less and less work on their figures, so it's kind of interesting to me that it looks like this one is shaded. As well, you can tell that the lighting is definitely different because the different effect pieces, right? Like the bean looks very different in terms of how it's like lit up than it does in this image. And also, you can kind of see that it looks like the light is going through the little cubes on Janemba there, while it doesn't there. So definitely will be interesting to see that. However, the one thing I will say is that the actual paint job itself, besides the shading, right, because you can definitely see like there's a lot more shading here. This also probably definitely is some shadows as well from how they're taking this picture, but I think it's definitely some shading on the figure because you can see the very dark lines in there, right? I will say his red sections definitely look a little bit cheaper painted to me than the original. It looks like they're kind of using a little bit of that more shiny paint that Bandai likes to use that's definitely a lot more cheaper now than this sort of premium paint. So we'll have to see how it looks on the final product. But very interesting just to kind of compare the two. You can also see the rock looks really different between the two versions of these guys. But yeah. Also, yeah, very lucky that he's not premium Bandai, definitely. Okay, so this was the July Kuji. This is the smaller prizes. I always like to talk about these. So this is a acrylic stand. This is actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm not really crazy about acrylic stands, but I actually really like this. I'm not going to lie. We also have some pouches. Interesting. Me and the boys rolling up with our wide Bulma and third form Frieza pouches. I actually like the Goku and Frieza one, though. That is pretty cool, though. I feel like the yellow is a terrible choice for the color there. And then we also have towels? Is that... No, this is a keychain, yeah. Very interesting. It's literally just a clear piece of acrylic with, like, this on it. Very interesting. The Parango one would be kind of funny. And then we have the towels. Yo, actually, these are sick, though. I'm not gonna... Wait, why is that one flipped? Wait, what? Oh, is this a Dragon Ball Z in, like, Namekian or something? Or am I just... I can't tell... Oh, it's like going down. I see. The lettering was so weird because the letters are so wide. Yeah, this is definitely a lot of classic Dragon Ball art that they put on towels. Honestly, this would be pretty cool to hang up on the wall, especially like this one, right? With Goku and Frieza facing off. Low-key, a boy might cop one of these and stick it on the wall. I'm not going to lie. That is actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Oh, yeah, Goku. We have the GX Materia Goku here. Again, we have seen a couple images of this guy, but obviously companies and arcades posting who have him. Looks really, really good. I will say, interesting thing about this image, the head looks really weird. Holy cow. His neck. That is really weird. I know that's kind of supposed to be like the divot that somebody has right there where their neck is, but that is like a crazy deep divot. I'm not gonna lie. Very interesting. I don't know if I like that, honestly. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was like a production error or something like that. But I guess to be fair, you're really going to be looking at the figure like that. But it is a 3D object. We do have the July Kuji initial production images versus the ones on the right. It doesn't look like there's any modeling changes, but some slight coloring changes. Like I always say, I mean, I was just talking about it like 5 minutes ago. Obviously, when it comes to the coloring of these images, you can never trust what they actually look like. So the left is the initial, and then these ones are the final ones. It really doesn't look like to me that on these guys, yeah, look at how bright they made Frieza's purple. And it kind of looks like, again, this is why it leads me to believe that, like, for these, it's not necessarily like that the figure isn't colored like this from the get-go, because it kind of looks like the whole image is brighter. Like, even the whites look a little bit brighter, the pinks look a little bit brighter. Even this looks like just a shade brighter, like the brown on his leg. But the purples are definitely a lot brighter, especially the gem, like on his stomach, right? Definitely. I like this. I like this definitely a lot more in terms of the color scheme for sure. I don't like the muddled down colors as much. Yeah, they made him a little bit brighter too. So this is kind of some unfortunate news. Figuarts Zero Gohan Beast, despite them expecting high demand, he's still struggling to sell. Obviously, with it being a year since Superhero has come out, of course, the casual fans definitely aren't as interested in picking up the figure anymore. And in terms of hardcore fans, obviously, you know, people want to save their money for different types of stuff and whatnot. So it is kind of a shame that this guy might actually kind of go by the wayside. This is just the result of Superhero's marketing being absolutely terrible, which is really unfortunate because obviously the movie was fantastic, but they did not market it well at all. I feel like if these guys would have gotten, these guys meaning like Orange, Piccolo, and Gohan Beast, if these guys would have gotten the proper marketing that they deserved and gotten figures when the movie had actually come out, I would think that the sales for these guys would be a million times better. But unfortunately, we are now stuck with the stinky sales numbers for these bad boys. And yeah, Baggy absolutely agrees on that one. Speaking of Gohan Beast, less than a month to go until the BOS Gohan releases. He should be releasing sometime the week beginning July 3rd. So we will have to see what the finals look like. I think that will be... yeah, maybe like... Oh no, that should be included then in the next figure news, I think. The actual finals of this guy, because that will be coming out. Or... it might be, because obviously that would technically be the second when that video should go up. But maybe I'll wait a day or two to include this guy in the video. Regardless, yeah, hopefully that this guy turns out pretty good, because obviously, you know, the Ichiban Kuji one was kind of a flop, unfortunately. Alright, so we have some higher quality production images of everything here. Just go through these real quick just because, you know, they're here. Again, I definitely want that much Vegeta, bro. He's just so cool. Here's some good images of the boy Janemba. Again, looking very, very nice. I'm really, really excited for this figure for sure. As well, some more images of Yamcha. Again, pretty ridiculous that my man is being stuck in a premium Bandai prison, basically. And... moving past that, Janemba has been confirmed the same retail price as Gohan. So I guess 100 quid. I don't know what that equates in USD because I don't live in Europe. So any Europeans in the comments, please let me know. Because I don't know the conversion rate for that, unfortunately. Frieza! I've been looking for you, buddy. So, if you remember, we talked about last week the Dragon Ball Arise first form, or 2 weeks ago, I guess, technically. The Dragon Ball Arise first form Frieza. And it seems that our boys at Plex are back at it again with a special color version of Frieza. No way he's actually sold out. I actually don't believe that. There's no way. Can you not make these bigger? I mean, we could open a new tab. Interesting. Well, this is definitely more high quality than this image, so we'll go through it here. But the information, scheduled to release around October 2023, he is going to be 29,700 yen, tax included, and his pre-order date was Monday with a size around 25 inches. Frieza with Scouter SP color without Soldier. Very interesting. So yeah, they're releasing a special color version of this figure. I don't know if this is supposed to be based on anything specifically. I guess maybe you could chalk this up to being like Dragon Ball Super Broly in terms of Frieza's color scheme, because it looks very similar to how he looked in the film, right? Because he was a lot more pink in that movie. But the pod? That's what's catching me so off guard. Like, who thought giving him a emerald green space pod is a good idea? It looks like he like duct taped Hierophant green to his to his pod. I don't know. Just such a weird color choice. Like, I get it, because obviously if they just made Frieza a different color and not the pod, it really wouldn't feel like a special color version to the people who are going to be paying this ridiculous amount of money for this, right? Which, by the way, again, about like 297, I think, is what that would be. Yeah, 297,000 yen. So basically like 300 bucks for this thing, right? Which is basically the size of an Ichiban Kuji figure, by the way. Again, the Dragon Ball Arise line is always known for being sort of like a hype beast line. So it kind of makes sense that they always, you know, like, make these guys ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's a lot of money for a stinky pod Frieza. Alright, so apparently my conversion rate must be off. And I'm going on some old conversion rates here, because I guess Baggy is saying that apparently the conversion from yen to USD would actually be $78. Which is kind of wild if that's the case. I mean, again, from that, like, translation, which is usually the yen to USD that I do, that's not perfect, but, you know, so if it's like 11,000 yen, then it would be like 110 bucks USD. Again, that's not exact. It's definitely like a couple dollars, maybe even 10, like, off. But regardless, if that is the case, very stinky from Bandai. I guess we could just look up, because it's 11,000 yen. Frieza's ugly mug. 11,000 yen to USD. Okay, yeah, I guess that is 76 bucks. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Huh. Yeah, I was not aware that the conversion rate was that low. Is yen really down that much? Holy cow. That's crazy compared to the US dollar. Wow. All right. Well, I mean, yeah, then that is honestly pretty terrible. I guess I'll have to remember that for future videos so I don't keep making that comparison with the yen. But, I don't know. That is kind of rough, to be honest with you. I mean, to be fair, I guess they're just pricing this guy because usually the Figuarts Zero figures are like 90 bucks anyway. And obviously Bandai has been raising the prices on their products for a long time now, whether it be Kuji figures or SH Figuarts or what have you. So it doesn't surprise me that they would just raise it that much. Because, I mean, to be fair, that's even lower than what they usually charge for the USD. Like, I remember even when I bought the Figuarts Zero Cooler many years back, right, he was 90 bucks, so doesn't surprise me that they are charging that much despite the conversion rate. This was something else that I wanted to show in this video. I've been really enjoying taking a look at this line. I definitely got to try and cop some of these. Obviously, these are the Dragon Ball Gashapon items line, where basically, right, they are different items from the Dragon Ball series. And as you can see here, we have the Scouters, the green and red version. We have the Shell and Staff from Master Roshi, Sensu Beans, Trunks' Sword, and the Deborah Cookie. All of these are really cool. I definitely love when these type of things are made by companies where it's something that's like directly from the show and then made in real life form. I always think that that's really cool. So definitely, I like that. I'm not gonna lie. Pretty cool stuff. The Deborah Cookie looks really good. I honestly think that that one is the best one. It just looks so cute, bro. Very nicely done. We did get in V-Jump the page featuring the boy Goku. And something very interesting, if you guys remember, we had this guy release a little bit ago, like a couple years ago now, where this guy was a exclusive, right? Basically, he was a event exclusive here in the States, and then he was actually available if we go to Premium Bandai. Premium Bandai had him available for, oh boy, if I just search Goku, this is really going to take a moment, but I guess that's the only one that I can really type in just to find it, because I don't know. There we go. Okay, he's right at the top. That's good. Yeah, this guy, right? From 2021 of October, right? I actually own this figure, and I have never opened him out of the box. Definitely got to do a video on this guy someday. But it seems like that he is actually just getting a standard release in Japan, which is very interesting. Also, this is kind of an interesting fact. Fitzula is a friend of mine. He is a big figure collector as well. So that's interesting that you can't actually take the head off of this guy. The way the figure's designed, you can't do head swaps. If you try and do head swaps, You can snap the peg off. Happened to me, and I had to contact Bluefin for a replacement. Took nearly a year. Wow. To get a replacement for the upper half. That's crazy. I mean, that makes sense considering it is an exclusive version of the figure. They may have even had to make one for him. Who knows? But very interesting that this is just getting a regular Japanese release. And according to this individual right here, apparently a lot of the time when they get event exclusive Gokus, they just end up being regular releases in Japan, which is kind of interesting. But nonetheless, that is pretty cool for Japanese fans, because obviously that guy is definitely a figure that's a little hard to find nowadays over here in the States. And there's one more thing. Yep, this one. I wanted to just include this in the video because I thought this was so cute. This is Pan, obviously, riding on the shoulders of the Ichiban Kuji Orange Piccolo. Definitely very, very cute. So we did actually have a couple of images from the Tamashii Nations World Tour, which is taking place in Mexico City. You can see tons of different figures on display here. Figuarts Zero, including Chainsaw Man. That is actually such a sick figure of Denji right there. And Denji going crazy. I honestly might get this figure. I don't get many SH Figuarts outside of Dragon Ball, but he just looks so cool, and I feel like the posability would be awesome for Denji. But as you can see here, they had some Dragon Ball stuff on display. Not only did they have some of the Ginyu Force members with the Goku effects pack, but they had that version of Goku that we've been talking about for a couple of videos, the Super Saiyan Goku, obviously with the shirtless look from Namek, which is really cool, and the newer that was recently announced, the Armored Trunks, which is really, really cool. Lots of good stuff here. Obviously, you can see they had a bunch of superhero figures on display. I definitely got to get that Goku and Vegeta at some point. I still don't have them, but all of these other guys I have on pre-order. And obviously, basically just that in terms of the big boy booths. But we did have the, I think this is the full power one. Yeah, full power Super Saiyan Goku. And then obviously the Armor Vegeta that is newer, as well as the Trunks, right? Obviously the future Trunks that recently got released. So very, very cool stuff there. I actually just realized this guy got released already. I'll have to see if I can get him, because I actually never got a copy of him. And then obviously we have the funny Android Saga guys, who obviously we've been talking about for the last couple of videos on display as well. And then a bunch of stuff that wasn't Dragon Ball. Those Saint Seiya figures are always so shiny, bro. But I guess that's just kind of the style of the what do you call it? The style of the show. Unfortunate with the way that Facebook works. I'm also very incompetent when it comes to Facebook, I'm not going to lie. But, like, I would think that you could view all of them in a list and not have to, like, scroll through them like this. I was just trying to see if there was anything else. Yeah, like this. No, we have to go all the way back. I hate Facebook, man. The SH Figuarts, or SH Figuarts, the Figuarts Zero, rather, as you can see, Janemba was on display once again. With the boy Gogeta here, right? Which, as you can see, this is the extra battle one. This is the original, I believe. I think that this is not the color exclusive one, because it would say that on the figure. Unfortunately, you can't really see how stinky his face is from here, but man, that Soul Punisher just looks so disappointing. Regardless, we do have a pretty good look at Janemba's colors on display here. He definitely looks kind of dark, which is pretty interesting, because obviously we were trying to see earlier in the video like how the colors actually looked, but I'm assuming the lighting is pretty good here, because you can see that the background is very blazingly white, and you can even see the lights kind of shining down. So I guess maybe the colors are a little bit more muddled on the actual final version, because that's what it's kind of looking like even with the bright lighting here, unfortunately. But there is a lot of nice shading, so I guess we have give and take. You know, we'll take the nice shading, but unfortunately the colors are a little bit less bright, which is kind of a shame. And that is probably everything when it comes to Dragon Ball, I would assume. All of the rest of this is definitely going to be other franchises that were on display at the event. But it is always nice to see Tamashii making some pretty cool stuff from whatever series they decide to do. But yeah, we are now at the beginning again. And interestingly enough, there was actually, hold on there, good sir. There was actually a video. So we're not going to go through this entire thing. But this individual actually explored the event, and if you would like to definitely see everything that they had to offer, right, you can see here we have the Dragon Ball Super Hero booth. I will leave a link to this video in the description if you would like to check this out, which is pretty cool, because obviously it's basically like a vlog of the event, so pretty neat. Moving on from the Tamashii Nations event, we did have the release of the Solid Edgeworks Trunks. Now, this one is custom painted, if you're wondering why the paint job looks different from what we've seen. This guy painted it to be a little bit more akin like the movie, which is pretty cool. But I think this is still a very good sculpt regardless. Like, dude, the hair, they did such a good job. And speaking of which, right, the custom paint job, this guy was trying to make it look more like the movie. So this is what it looked like originally, right? And then this is what they painted it like to make the colors a little bit more accurate to the BoJack movie's style. Very, very cool stuff here, if I do say so myself. I really, really like this. It is kind of interesting. I did not really notice as much that this kind of version of the figure, I guess, definitely did not have the colors of the BoJack movie, really. It kind of makes me wonder if they're going to re-release this figure again with both versions and then give it like an alternate color version, because I could definitely see them doing that. Maybe don't let Bandai see this tweet, actually, so it doesn't give them any ideas. But I actually did not really notice that it's not as close to the BoJack movie art style, so that is kind of interesting. I suppose by making it like this, it's more just like Dragon Ball Z-esque, and it's just kind of more like akin to the normal look that Trunks has in terms of the color scheme. So maybe they think that it would be better because more people would be interested, because it'd be like more of a general thing. I don't know. Just kind of an interesting choice for sure. We did also have the Solid Edgeworks Gohan release here. This guy definitely looks pretty cool, but as we are going to see in a moment, they took away the shading from him a lot. Also, what is going on the back of his neck? Oh, okay, that's the blue shirt. I thought that was a giant hole in the back of his head. Whew, okay. Your boy got a little worried there, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, so this figure does look good, but definitely a severe lack of shading. And again, we'll see a comparison of that in 1 second here. But little piece of information here. Still waiting on confirmation on what the November Dragon Ball Z BOS history box and SH Figuarts and Solid Edgeworks are. Only thing that's certain is that the Clear Eyes is Majin Vegeta and most likely this pose. Solid Edgeworks will most likely be Beast, you would think, because it is a superhero figure. But we will see, right? We will definitely see what becomes of this. It is kind of a shame if they do this Majin Vegeta pose, only because we've had this pose like a million times in recent time. There are so many figures of this guy with this pose that are already really good. So I definitely feel like we don't need another one like this, but we'll see, right? Maybe it'll be better than all the rest of them. Regardless, speaking of Majin Vegeta and ironically this pose, Dragon Stars actually showed off a bunch of their new figures, and the Dragon Stars Majin Vegeta was actually shown off. Again, whenever I talk about these figures, I always mention the fact that I feel like, you know, they're not really like collectibles as much as they are. I mean, people do still collect them, but I feel like that they are definitely more so like toys, right? They are definitely more of that traditional, like, you know, it's an action figure that you give your kid for them to play with and have a Dragon Ball figure. And I mean, you know, again, even though it's definitely like not for me, I always say this in like every single video that I talk about Dragon Stars, but if I was a kid and I received this figure, I'd be going nuts, man. I would be absolutely going crazy. So definitely, especially with these guys being priced pretty fair, which is always around like 20 bucks, I think that definitely they are absolutely well worth it. The other thing that I wanted to show, actually, because I don't know if I ever properly showed off images of these guys, I pulled this tab away so we could actually take a look at this. I figured I'd just throw these up real quick because I don't know if we ever looked at the proper production images of these, but these are up for pre-order and they are coming out next month. The double pack of the Dragon Stars Gamma 2 as well as Piccolo in this set too. Oh, cool. He does actually come with the Super Hero hands. That's pretty cool. And the blaster is a different piece, right? Just like how they did it for the SH Figuarts, where this is attached and you can take this out and then it's a different thing that he actually holds. And then obviously just a standard superhero Piccolo. He does come with some open palm hands, so that is pretty cool. We have the Dragon Stars Gohan Beast. I don't know why that turned blue. There we go. He's kind of leaning forward, but I guess that is sort of how he is in that particular pose, right? Again, not the biggest fan of Dragon Stars. I don't think the sculpt necessarily looks the best. But again, if my dad handed me this figure, I would absolutely be crying. Because it would just be so cool to own a Gohan Beast action figure as a kiddo. So yeah, definitely pretty cool on that one. And as well, Omega Shinron. Again, like, very interesting choice. I guess they just kind of do have to go through all the Dragon Ball figures at some point. I will say, this might honestly be a bit of a cop for Super Yin Shinra. How did they, what? That so many things arise here amiss with the name that they gave this figure. But regardless, honestly, I know that some people maybe want to cop this guy because obviously we don't have a Omega Shinron SH Figuarts figure, right? I know for a fact that with the release of the recent GT figures, right? Because obviously we have been getting a couple of various different Dragon Ball GT SH Figuarts figures. Obviously we got Super Saiyan 4 Goku and we got Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. I would have to imagine, right, that they're probably gonna do Gogeta. And then I would think if they're doing Gogeta, they'd probably do Omega. So this is maybe not necessarily like a terrible thing to cop if you want like a cheap Omega Shinron figure. But if you are getting one just to have a posable figure for collection, maybe just hold off for a little bit. I actually got the Dragon Stars Janemba for that purpose because I thought that they would never make a SH Figuarts Janemba, but who knows? Maybe at this point they will. The other thing that I wanted to show off real quick too, because I don't think I actually got to show them off in any proper video, is the Limit Breaker Vegito and Gogeta. Again, these are very large action figures. These ones are a lot less posable. These are like big vinyl figures. They basically just stand there and you can move their arms up and down. They are really not anything crazy, but they are cool, like, giant action figures. The only one that I have of this is Frieza, because personally, again, I think as a collector, the sculpt doesn't really appear to me. But again, like, as a toy, I think these are definitely really cool. Also, a very nice Broly Fenyo art there. Ooh, gas, bro. Always love to see it. I have Golden Frieza, but definitely I think for a figure that is a foot tall and 20 bucks, right, if you're giving this to your kid, definitely a very, very good choice to say the least. And yeah, obviously Majin Vegeta now joining the Dragon Stars line as well. So finally, we are taking a look at the HD images of this guy. Again, I knew that these bad boys were going to be somewhere in this video. Yeah, very, very nice looking figure. I really liked the sculpt on the original. And again, I just think Gohan being in that, like, orange is so weird. Because I've never seen, even in the manga, like, I swear I don't remember him being in that color. However, this is definitely such a good figure. And I feel like, in terms of the Gigantic series, it is, like, my favorite one in terms of the sculpt. Because I think that the face on Goku and Gohan is just like so Dragon Ball-esque with like the really rounded features. I really, really like it. I might actually get this one, honestly. I don't own any of the Gigantic series, the X Plus figures, and I've always wanted one, this guy or the UI Omen Goku one. So I might actually get this guy since they're re-releasing it. Again, no pre-orders yet, unfortunately, for this. I don't see Big Bad Toy Store with one, and they are pretty good about keeping on the ball of stuff. The newest thing that they have is Janemba, so I'm assuming that this guy is not available for pre-order yet, unless this is going to be like a Japanese exclusive thing. But I will keep you guys posted in future videos, of course. And here is what I was going to talk about later in the video that I was kind of leading up to. So, here's the thing, right? You can see that the shading on the new version of this guy, right, is really, really not there, right? You can see a lot of the shading on the face and on the neck and on the arms. It's just not present on this figure. I will say this person does make a valid point, I suppose, that like maybe it's kind of supposed to be like the Super Saiyan 2 glow, and that's why the shading is not present on the figure. But I feel like, nothing against my man here, of course, who's posting this random GIF and just happens to be catching the stray of this video, but I feel like it's just copium. Unfortunately, I hate using that word, but just because obviously Bandai has been lowering the quality on their stuff and removing shading from their figures for quite a long time now. So it kind of just like doesn't surprise me that, you know, this is just kind of the result of re-releasing the figure and making it arguably worse in terms of, you know, the shading, because obviously then it's less value, I would say, right? It just looks a little bit cheaper. I think the biggest part you can tell is the hair, right? Like the hair looks a lot more like toy-esque rather than like a collectible figure or something like that. So just kind of interesting, and it's always interesting to see a re-release figure side by side compared to the original. A little bit more news about Janemba here. This bad boy will be made in China. Dr. Gero will be made in Vietnam, and apparently Yamcha will be made in China, which is interesting that they're only giving Vietnam Dr. Gero. I always like to mention in these videos, I always give a quick disclaimer, right? The reason why we talk about this is because the figures were made in China for a really long time when it comes to anything of Bandai's offerings, right? And they're pretty good usually when they come out of there. However, Vietnam had kind of a bad streak in the beginning, and now they're a lot better, but they still tend to have QC issues sometimes. So we will see what actually ends up becoming of the boy Dr. Gero when he is actually released in terms of his own QC issues. Hoping Janemba turns out good though, and some more up close and personal pictures of the Draw Cap Goku forms. I really wish, again, like, the Super Saiyan 3, it is really spiky, this guy mentions. Holy cow, why is it so, like, spiked out like that? Again, like, the faces on some of these look good. Like, the Super Saiyan 3 doesn't look awful, right? This one is terrible. The Super Saiyan face is awful. And then the base form and Kid Goku honestly look pretty good. Like, I don't know. My man sculpting this was going all over the place when it comes to this thing. It's just kind of a shame that this is such a cool looking figure, like, genuinely. But it's so small. It is so incredibly small. Like, it's basically a figure that will fit... here, let me go back up because those didn't load. It is a figure that will fit in the palm of your hand. Oh my gosh, that looks so weird from that angle with the Super Saiyan 3 here. I feel like it's not that long. See, I feel like this is also weird with the Super Saiyan 3 because it's not that bushy at the bottom. It, like, comes to a point at the bottom, so... I don't know. This figure would be a lot cooler if it was a lot bigger and it wasn't so expensive, right? I feel like if this bad boy wasn't, you know, only like a couple of inches tall, basically, then I feel like that it would be a lot more passable for the price. Like, if this figure was the price that it is, because I think it's like around $100 or something like that, and, you know, it was like, I could hold it with, I needed two hands to hold it, basically, you know, then I feel like it would be a little bit more excusable. But just because of the fact that it's so small, right, I feel like it's just unfortunately falls by the wayside. So we now have a official date for the boy. The BOS Gohan is going to be releasing on the 6th. So we will get to see some funnel images of this guy actually coming up, yeah, pretty soon. So definitely look forward to that. All right, so I'm actually recording this section of the video on Monday night, and this video will be going up on Tuesday. Originally, I was just going to post it on Sunday because I filmed it on Saturday, but we got new prize figure info, which is what I was waiting to include in this video. So I figured, why not put it on the end here, and we'll give it a talking about. First, two things. For one, Prime One Studio has shown off their brand new Frieza statue with a golden version, which is pretty cool. This is one of those official statues that is a resin statue rather than the PVC prize figures that Toei has been partnering with Prime One Studio for a little bit now to give us. It does look pretty cool, but usually these are pretty overpriced, unfortunately. However, I will say I think the base form Frieza looks really good. I think that Golden Frieza's face looks a little bit weird, but I think his actual golden body looks really good, I'm not gonna lie. Regardless, one more thing before we get to the news prize figures. They did actually show us what the boxes for the exclusive editions of the upcoming con exclusive color SH Figuarts figures would be. We obviously have the very stylized color schemes, which is kind of funny because these are how they've been doing the exclusive colors for a little while now, but they are almost exactly like how the third-party companies do their figure boxes, which is kind of funny. I think Majin Vegeta looks fine, and so does Raditz, right? He pretty much looks like how he was, though I will say, I feel like Gohan's face looks a little bit weird. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but something about that neutral expression definitely does look a little bit strange to me. However, I'm sure most people are probably going to be displaying him with the screaming face. I think that one looks a little bit better, but nonetheless, very, very interesting. I just noticed in the background it also says exclusive edition. That's pretty cool. But anyway... besides that, actually, I wanted to throw this at the end here, too, because it is pretty cool. They announced SH Monster Arts Blue Eyes, which is pretty sick. I know they teased this a couple months ago. Regardless, though, what we're actually here for in this section of the video, we have the November high-quality production images. So, we have the very, very awesome end, well, not end of Z as in, like, the green outfit, but the Spirit Bomb when he defeats Kid Buu Goku, right? The, you know, I hope you come back as a good guy next time, Goku. A classic scene right here. This, I believe, is the history box Goku for this time around, which is pretty cool. Definitely a very nice scene to have represented. I will say, I think the sculpting looks fine. I do like the effects. His mouth looks a little weird to me, though. Definitely something about it seems a tad bit off, but nonetheless, still looks pretty cool. We'll have to see some more images of this guy eventually. We also have Gotenks for the BOS figure, which is kind of surprising, to be honest. This one reminds me a lot of the Retsuden Gotenks, but this one is just on the ground. I may actually pick up this figure because he honestly looks pretty cool, and I've been trying to get a Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks figure in my collection for some time now. But I do think the Retsuden one is kind of cheap. I feel like I've seen it like both kind of hard to find and cheap before. I don't know. But nonetheless, this is definitely a fantastic option for a cheap Gotenks figure, and the BOS line always hits. So I'm sure when we see the multi-angles of this, his face will look awesome. Obviously, it looks kind of a little bit weird from this angle because, of course, he's like leaning down and his head is like, you know, tucked into his chest, basically. But speaking of which, oh right, I forgot we have one more before that. We have the Clear Eyes Majin Vegeta, which I gotta say, I feel like this figure looks really good. I'm kind of shocked, honestly, because I know that we've had plenty of Majin Vegeta figures, and I will say, though, I am glad that they chose this, because out of all the recent Majin Vegeta prize figures, they always do the 3 fingers forward, rather than when he blows up the stands at the World Tournament. So this is a very good choice for pose for this figure. I may actually get this just because it's something a little bit more unique than what we have been getting, but I think it looks pretty good in the sculpt so far. And whoo, baby, the brand new Gohan Beast figure to add to the collection. So if you're wondering why the figure is walking forward, and I suppose by proxy why the alternate version of this figure, which is the Ultimate Gohan, also, oh my gosh, by the way, the face looks absolutely fantastic on this Ultimate Gohan. It's interesting to me because the Solid Edgeworks line, which is the line that this Gohan is from, let me actually pull this up for you, is a line where they've kind of gone back and forth in terms of what they like to do with the way that these figures are posed. I almost said posted for some reason. The way that they are posed, right? For some reason, the way that they did it in the beginning, right, was that they basically had the characters walking forward. That was kind of the gimmick that they did. If we take a look at my figure collection, and we look at this by, no, we want to look at this by release date, which I believe this is actually in order. Yes, because Goku is here. It's kind of in order. Regardless, though, I can kind of show you the point that I'm trying to go for. If you see Goku, right, the whole gimmick is that he's walking forward here, right? Gohan, he's walking forward. Vegeta, walking forward, even though this figure is terrible. But Trunks breaks the mold with this entirely because he's literally just standing there taking his jacket off, right? This is just the same Goku but base form. Obviously, the other Saiyan form of Gohan there. Again, with this Trunks for some reason loves to break the theme that these figures have going showing, right? Just pulling the glove and not walking forward. This is just a Super Saiyan version of that Trunks. This is the Solid Edgeworks Vegeta that we saw a while ago, right? And he also has the Majin version. Again, both of them walking forward. Vegito and Super Vegito from this line are just standing here, right? So it's kind of interesting because some of these figures, right, they have the whole walking gimmick, the recent Trunks, right? Gohan, oh my gosh, Gohan Black, right? Maybe he's canon. Goku Black, obviously, does not have the walking gimmick, kinda. He sort of does, I guess, like he is kind of walking forward, but it sort of just looks like he's more floating there, but I think that is what they were going for him. But like Gotenks, right, completely deviates from the theme. And as well, so does Gogeta, right? He is quite literally just standing there. And the recent Piccolo is also a Solid Edgeworks figure. So it's just kind of interesting that for some of these figures, they just decided to have them, you know, stand there and kind of do their own thing. And you can actually see the Gohan has also been added to this list. But for Gohan, they went back to the walking gimmick for this line, which I think is really interesting. I don't really mind it, especially since you can see that for this face, right, they used when Cell Max punches Gohan, right, and then he just tanks the hit and he just looks up at Cell Max, right? Obviously, we are also getting the history box Gohan, right, the one with the effects that we've actually talked about in this video that has the same pose. Or same facial expression, I should say, and the pose is more accurate to the movie, is what I should say, right? Whereas this one obviously deviates a little bit from that one, but still uses the same expression. So I actually kind of like that, right? It gives you a little bit of a reason to get both of these figures if you're really interested in it, and obviously makes them a little bit more different. As well, obviously, Ultimate Gohan being a little bit different than both of them, and frankly, I actually think that this face sculpt is really good. Like, Gohan Beast looks really good, but I feel like Gohan, in terms of his ultimate form recently, has either been, like, some of the figures have been really good, and some of them I feel like I haven't liked as much. But I think I actually really like this, so I may get both of these figures, honestly, because I really, really like them. I do have the DXF Ultimate Gohan from the superhero line, so I guess it's not really like I need this guy, but he'll definitely be a little bit bigger than that figure. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this selection of figures coming up in November. I am definitely pretty excited for these. By the way, this will be the end of the video. I swear Bandai has my house bugged and they just don't want me to end this video. Every single time I've been trying to get this done with the edits and been like, all right, we're good to render this bad boy out. Bandai dropped some brand new figure news on our heads. And obviously, if you did see yesterday's impromptu breaking figure news video, you would know that we discussed these in yesterday's video. However, as this is a bi-weekly recap, since the last time that I posted a figure news video, I gotta just throw them in at the end of this video, even though I know probably the main appeal of this video is the prize figures, because of course we talked about these in detail. But if you would like to hear my detailed thoughts on each of these figures, you can definitely go check out that video, because obviously, as this is sort of an overview video, I always save my thoughts for a big batch of brand new hype figures for their individual video, unless I haven't talked about it in anything but a recap video. So anyway, enough explaining. Let's go ahead and just hop into it. Here we have the brand new Ichiban Kuji set, the Ichiban Kuji Omnibus versus Brave, which is the brand newest addition to the Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji versus Omnibus line. Holy cow, that is a mouthful to say. But the versus Omnibus line has been kind of going on for a little bit now. They have been adding different figure lines to it, I guess is technically the correct thing to say, because they don't really have any relation to each other. It's basically just like the moniker that they have sort of been giving these specific Ichiban Kuji sets. They don't necessarily have like a theme, I guess you would say, to them, maybe besides the fact that one of them is usually sculpted, one of the figures in that set is usually sculpted by a certain individual, which we will talk about in 1 second. So to start us off for our A prize, we have a brand new Gohan Beast figure. I will say at this point regarding this guy, right, he's definitely not my personal favorite Gohan Beast out of all of the ones that we have gotten so far. And we have definitely gotten a bunch of Gohan Beast figures in this pose already, which is kind of funny because, like, just a couple of months ago, I even feel like, right, we really were like, hey, yo, bro, where are the Gohan Beast figures at? But at this point, I feel like we have so many in just, like, the generic standing pose that at this point, right, you don't really need another one, right? Because at this point, if I drag over this tab real quick, right, we obviously have the brand new Ichiban Kuji one right there. We have that one, which, of course, we just talked about, the brand new Solid Edgeworks one, right? I mean, I guess you could technically count the the Dragon Ball Adverge one. I guess he does actually have the same pose, so yeah, he could be included in the party, sure. This one is not exactly the same pose because he is lifting his arms a little bit, but, like, you know. And then, of course, we also have the DXF one as well. And then, I mean, if you want to count the posable ones, you could technically put them in the pose of the same one as, like, this. But I don't think that's kind of a stretch, right? But regardless, I definitely think that I would much prefer, at least for me, either one like this or the DXF one. Considering the fact that not only does this guy not look incredible in my opinion, right? I think he looks pretty basic, and honestly I feel like a little bit too skinny almost. I think that he'll also be really expensive because not only are overseas figures been getting quite expensive for us to buy Ichiban Kuji sets, you know, he's gonna be also, you know, you'll have to import him at that point if you want to get him for a decent price. So I just say just get the smaller figure. But if we're looking for a figure that is definitely going to be worth looking into getting, we have the boy Piccolo here, which looks absolutely fantastic. He is sculpted by the same individual that has been sculpting a lot of the monster characters in Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji sets. Sorry, I didn't know what choice of words I wanted to use to describe that. The more recent sets, right? I guess recent being in the last, like, 2 years. I guess that's not really recent, but you get my point, right? Whenever they do a quote-unquote monster or, like, super hyper-realistic, I guess, kind of version of a character, they end up looking like this type of sculptures. I think is really cool. I definitely like the way that he looks quite a bit. And then moving on from him, we do have Super Saiyan Goku, which is really cool. I don't think we've gotten this exact, like, the scene, I guess you would just say, version of Super Saiyan Goku, because I don't think that's technically correct, but regardless, right, obviously this moment from Dragon Ball Z, I don't think we've gotten a brand new figure for this in a long time, so it does look really cool, and I almost wonder if it's sculpted by the same guy who did Piccolo, only because, like, the pants kind of lead me to believe that, and Goku is super hyper buff, like, bro, has abs everywhere. So I don't know. Kind of. It might be the same sculptor, but only time will tell. We'll have to get some more information on that as more information comes out about this Ichiban Kuji. We also have full power Frieza as our next figure in this set. I will say it is nice because I don't think that we've gotten this exact pose in a little while, but I do know that there are a couple of figures. They may be a little bit older, but I know that there are a couple of figures that actually share this same pose as this particular full power Frieza that we've had in the past, that again might end up being a little bit cheaper only because of the fact that obviously you know, with Ichiban Kuji they kind of decide to you know, jack up the price in recent time. Well, kind of decide, they have decided to. Regardless, probably my favorite figure besides Orange Piccolo from this set is actually going to be Bulma. I feel like Bulma just looks really good in this figure, like spot on to how she actually looks from this particular manga panel or manga chapter cover, I guess I should say, right? She looks fantastic, and obviously not only that, in terms of just being a figure collector, we never get figures of characters who basically aren't like Goku and now Piccolo, Gohan, Vegeta, Gogeta, right? Not to mention stuff like this where it's like, you know, pieces of art and stuff like that, right? Meaning like stuff that's not necessarily, I guess, like directly ripped out of the manga. You know what I'm trying to say, though. It looks fantastic regardless. I'm very, very excited for this figure. Hopefully it looks this good by the time that the final version is released. And then for the last one prize version, they are giving us a shiny version of Piccolo, which ironically enough, the top half looks basically exactly the same. Like, I don't think that there is a difference. There might be a slight difference in the tilt of the head. It's kind of hard to tell because it could also just be the figure was taken at a different angle for the picture. But obviously, the big difference is the pants. They've done this a couple of times for Ichiban Kuji figures for last one prizes. They've done this with Broly a couple of different times, which I will say this is definitely nice when it comes to a last one prize figure, because then this figure should not be as expensive to get, either if you want to import it or obviously for the Japanese audience, because of course, you know, it's not a brand new figure, right? Like, it's not like an exclusive or anything like that. It's quite literally just an alternate paint job, and obviously not everybody is always into the shiny paint job either, so this figure should be a little bit easier to come by. But yeah, that is all the figures in this particular Ichiban Kuji set that we have coming up. For this set, it is going to be costing 790 yen if you go and play it in Japan, right? Like, if you actually go to a corner store and you play the actual Ichiban Kuji itself. And apparently it is coming out October 23rd. Obviously it is going to be coming out in October because, of course, I mean, you know, it literally said it on the image up here, right there, right in Japanese, or somewhere here. There you go. I knew it said it on the website. October 2023. But maybe this just means October 2023 and not the 23rd. Maybe that's a little bit misleading on that, but regardless, it will be coming out in October. I guess we'll kind of keep it as a pending date for now, because I don't know if this means 2023, and Hype just typed this a little bit weird, unfortunately. You know, not that like he's doing it on purpose, it's just it kind of looks that way. Anyway, finally, I think that is actually it for our figure news recap for the last 2 weeks. Let me know what you guys think of all of the figures that we covered. I am very excited for the Gohan Beast that we're going to be getting from Solid Edgeworks. I think he looks really, really cool. I'm also really, really excited for this Piccolo as well. Let me know if you guys are excited for anything. It is really interesting that we are all of a sudden getting all these superhero figures. I don't know if it's just because we're, you know, coming up on the first anniversary of the film, or if it just kind of is happenstance. I mean, where were all these figures when the movie released? I don't know, but I'm not Bandai. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.